Soa sat alone in the classroom long after the final bell had rung. The hallway lights outside were already dim. The cleaning staff had finished their rounds. Every child had gone home. Except her. Lizzie paused at the doorway, confused. Soa, sweetheart, aren't you going home? The little girl lifted her head slowly. Her eyes were too quiet for an 8-year-old. My driver will come, she said softly. But if I go home now, I'll just be bored. Lizzie frowned. Bored? You live in a mansion. Soa gave a small shrug. Big houses are loud when no one talks to you. That sentence landed heavy. Lizzie stepped closer. Your father will worry. He's always busy, Soa replied. You understand me better, Auntie Lizzie. You have a good heart. You always make me happy. Lizzie's chest tightened. Oh, sweetheart. I can't take you home. I don't go to parents' houses. Soa's lower lip trembled. What about my mom? Lizzie hesitated. Your mom? I don't have one. Silence filled the classroom. A child. In a building full of guards. In a mansion full of marble. And she was lonely. Auntie, please, Soa whispered. Just today. Lizzie looked at her. Really looked at her. The child wasn't being dramatic. She was begging. Okay, Lizzie said gently. Just for today. Soa's face lit up like sunrise. And neither of them knew that single decision would shake one of the most powerful men in Seoul. Before we continue, thank you for tuning in. If this opening already pulled at your heart, go ahead and like this story. Subscribe so you don't miss what happens next. Because this isn't just a love story. It's about power. It's about loneliness. And it's about a child who sees the truth adults are too afraid to face. Now, let's continue. Lizzie and Soa boarded a taxi together. Soa talked the whole ride. My daddy has many guards, she said proudly. They follow him everywhere. Is that safe? Lizzie asked carefully. It means people are scared of him. Lizzie smiled politely, but something about that answer unsettled her. When the taxi stopped, Lizzie froze. Tall iron gates. Security cameras. Men in tailored black suits standing at attention. This is your house, she whispered. Soa nodded. We're home. Lizzie paid the driver with slightly shaking hands. The gate opened after one guard stepped forward. Miss Soa. Your driver was supposed to bring you. I asked my teacher, Soa replied confidently. She brought me. The guard studied Lizzie carefully before stepping aside. Lizzie walked into the mansion. It was beautiful. It was silent. The silence was louder than the marble floors. Welcome to my home, Soa said, spreading her arms proudly. Lizzie forced a smile. The place felt less like a home and more like a museum. They walked through large halls, past expensive paintings and crystal chandeliers. When they reached the kitchen, Soa turned excitedly. Can you make something for me before you go? Lizzie laughed softly. You just got home. Please. Just something small. Lizzie hesitated, then nodded. As she moved around the kitchen, she noticed how empty it felt. The appliances were expensive. Everything was spotless. But nothing felt lived in. Where's your dad? She asked gently. In his office, Soa replied. He always works. And he always moves with guards. Lizzie glanced toward the massive windows. This wasn't just wealth. This was power. And power came with enemies. Across town, in a dark-paneled office overlooking the Han River, Kang Junseo sat behind a heavy wooden desk. Contracts lay open in front of him. Men stood near the walls, silent. His phone buzzed. His security chief spoke carefully. Sir. Miss Soa returned home today without her assigned driver. The room grew still. Junseo's jaw tightened. Explain. She asked a teacher to bring her. A teacher. His daughter. Outside. Unprotected. A dangerous thought crossed his mind. Enemies watched him daily, and his daughter was his only weakness. Find out who she is, he said quietly. The temperature in the room seemed to drop. Back in the mansion kitchen, Lizzie placed a simple bowl of warm soup in front of Soa. The little girl tasted it, and smiled. You cook like someone who cares. Liz's heart skipped. Food should feel like a hug, she replied softly. Upstairs, A man watched the CCTV monitor. And for the first time in a long time, Kang Junseo saw his daughter smiling. Not polite smiling. Not pretending. Real smiling. And beside her stood a woman he had never seen before. He didn't know her name yet. But he knew one thing. Anyone who could make his daughter smile like that was already dangerous. The next morning, Seoul moved as it always did. Busy, loud, unaware. But inside a private office overlooking the Han River, silence ruled. Kang Junseo did not shout. He did not need to. The men standing in front of his desk understood that his quiet voice was more dangerous than anger. "You are telling me," he said slowly, fingers resting on a contract worth billions, "that my daughter left school without her assigned driver, and no one informed me until she was already home?" The head of security swallowed. "Sir, she was escorted by a teacher. There was no immediate threat." Junseo's gaze lifted. Cold. Sharp. Unforgiving. "My enemies do not announce threats in advance." The room fell still. In Junseo's world, weakness was an invitation to attack. And Soa, small, fragile, trusting, was the one thing his enemies would exploit without hesitation. "She asked the teacher to take her home," the security chief added carefully. The teacher complied. "Name: Lizzie. Full background check is being processed." Junseo leaned back in his chair. A teacher. A stranger. In his house. Cooking in his kitchen. His jaw tightened slightly. "Bring me everything," he said. "Family, history, finances. I want to know why she agreed." The men bowed slightly and left. When the door closed, the powerful Mafia boss finally exhaled. For a moment, just a moment, he saw not an empire, not rival gangs, not contracts. He saw his daughter sitting alone in a classroom. Waiting. That evening, Junseo returned home earlier than usual. The gates opened instantly. Guards straightened as his black car rolled inside. The mansion lights glowed warm against the dark sky, but the warmth never reached him. He stepped inside. "Where is she?" he asked a housemaid. "In her room, sir." He walked upstairs, each step deliberate. When he opened Soa's door, he paused. She was lying on her stomach, drawing with colored pencils. She looked up and smiled. It wasn't forced. It wasn't polite. It was bright. "Daddy." He hadn't seen that expression in months. He sat on the edge of her bed. "I heard you came home with a teacher." "Yes," she said eagerly. "Auntie Lizzie. She made me soup. You know it's dangerous to move around without security." Her smile faded slightly. "I just wanted someone who makes me happy." Her words were simple. Honest. He felt something unfamiliar tighten in his chest. "I have security to keep you safe. I don't want guards, Daddy," she said quietly. "I want someone who talks to me." That sentence struck deeper than any bullet ever could. Junseo's empire was built on fear. But his daughter did not fear him. She just felt alone. "She treats me like I matter," Soa continued. "Like I'm her daughter." He looked at her carefully. "When did you start feeling like you don't matter?" Soa hesitated. "When you bring new aunties every weekend." The air shifted. He did not react. But inside, something cracked. "They never stay," she whispered. "They smile at you. Not at me." Junseo stared at the drawing in her hands. It was a picture of 3 stick figures. A tall man. A small girl. And a woman between them. All holding hands. "Who is that?" he asked, his voice softer now. Soa's answer came without hesitation. "Auntie Lizzie." Later that night, Junseo stood alone in his private study. The CCTV footage played silently on a large screen. He watched Lizzie move around the kitchen. She wasn't impressed by the luxury. She wasn't nervous. She wasn't trying to look important. She was focused on Soa. Every time the child spoke, Lizzie listened fully. No pretending. No calculation. Just care. His assistant entered quietly. "Sir." Background report. Junseo took the file. Clean history. Hardworking. No debts. No criminal connections. A Nigerian teacher living modestly in Seoul. Nothing suspicious. Which somehow made her more dangerous. Because she wasn't there for money. She wasn't there for power. She had walked into his house and made his daughter happy. Without trying. His phone buzzed. Mrs. Kim. He answered. Jun Seo, his mother's firm voice said, I have arranged another dinner this weekend. The daughter of a powerful businessman. You cannot delay marriage forever. I'm busy, he replied calmly. You need a wife. Soa needs a mother. At that, his eyes shifted to the CCTV screen. Lizzie was kneeling beside Soa, laughing softly at something the child said. For a brief second, the mansion looked like a home. I will handle it, he said shortly. Mrs. Kim sighed. You cannot run an empire alone. He ended the call. Alone. The word echoed. He built everything alone. Fought alone. Survived alone. But his daughter. She was asking for something he did not know how to give. Jun Seo closed the file slowly. Get me her number, he told his assistant. The man hesitated slightly. Sir, I want to speak to her myself. Because for the first time in years, the most feared man in Seoul wasn't worried about enemies. He was worried about losing the only person who made his daughter smile. Liz's phone rang at exactly 9:12 p.m. She almost didn't answer. Unknown number. Late hour. She stared at the screen for 3 full seconds before pressing accept. Hello. The voice on the other end was calm, deep, controlled. Is this Lizzie? Yes, who is this? A slight pause. This is Kang Jun Seo. Soa's father. Lizzie straightened immediately. Her heart gave a small, unexpected jump. Oh, good evening, sir. There was something about the way he breathed through the phone. Measured. Careful. Like a man who chose every word before releasing it. My daughter hasn't stopped talking about you, he said. Lizzie blinked. I hope that's a good thing. It is. Silence followed. Not awkward. Just heavy. She smiled yesterday, he continued. I haven't seen that smile in a long time. Lizzie softened. She's a bright child. She says you understand her. The weight behind that statement felt personal. I only listened, Lizzie replied gently. Children don't need much. Just attention. Another pause. You brought her home without informing security. The tone shifted slightly. Not angry, but assessing. Liz's shoulders tensed. She asked me. I didn't think. That is the problem, he said quietly. In my world, people who don't think can get hurt. There it was. The reminder. Power. Danger. She swallowed. I didn't mean to overstep. You didn't. That surprised her. I am calling to invite you, Jun Seo continued, to spend this weekend at my home. Lizzie blinked again. Excuse me? My daughter wants you there. She says weekends are the hardest. Liz's fingers tightened around the phone. That wouldn't be appropriate. I will compensate you, he said smoothly. It's not about money. Silence again. This time, longer. I am aware, he replied, voice lowering slightly. That is precisely why I am asking. Lizzie hesitated. Something about him unsettled her. Not fear. Not exactly. More like gravity. She imagined Soa's face. Her quiet loneliness. Just the weekend? Lizzie asked. Yes. And you'll be there. I live there, he answered. She exhaled slowly. Okay. I'll come. For Soa. Good, he said. My assistant will send a car. The call ended. Lizzie stared at her reflection in the dark window. What kind of man speaks like that? Calm. Controlled. Used to being obeyed. And why did her heart beat faster after hearing his voice? Saturday morning, a sleek black car waited outside Liz's apartment. 2 men in suits stood beside it. She felt ridiculous walking toward them with her small handbag. The ride to the mansion was silent. When the gates opened again, she felt the same chill as before. Soa ran down the steps the moment she saw her. Auntie Lizzie. Lizzie knelt and hugged her. You look excited. I didn't sleep properly, Soa admitted. I kept thinking you might change your mind. Lizzie smiled gently. I gave you my word. As they stepped inside, Lizzie glanced around. Where is your dad? He left early, Soa replied casually. He always leaves early. But he'll come back tonight. There was a slight edge in her voice. And he's probably bringing another woman, she added quietly. Liz's brows drew together. Another woman? Soa nodded. He brings different aunties almost every weekend. Lizzie felt something twist in her chest. That must be confusing. It is, Soa whispered. They smile at him like he's a prize. But no one asks how I feel. Lizzie reached for her hand. Let's not think about that today. What do you want to do? Cook. Soa said instantly. They moved to the kitchen. Soon, the sound of chopping vegetables and quiet laughter filled the space. Lizzie moved confidently, sleeves rolled slightly, explaining each step. Food isn't just taste, she told Soa. It's memory. When someone eats your food, they remember how you made them feel. Then Daddy should eat this, Soa said seriously. So he can remember what happiness tastes like. Lizzie froze for a second. That was not something a child should say. But it was honest. When they finally sat at the dining table, Soa tasted the food and closed her eyes. You cook like someone who loves deeply. Lizzie laughed softly. You're too young to talk like that. No, I'm not, Soa insisted. Then she looked up suddenly. Can you marry my daddy? Lizzie almost choked. What? I want you to be my mommy. The kitchen went silent. That's not something children decide, Lizzie said carefully. But if two people are lonely, shouldn't they help each other? Soa asked. The innocence in her logic hurt. Lizzie forced a smile. Let's focus on eating. But the question lingered in the air. That evening, Junseo returned home. As he stepped into the foyer, he heard something unusual. Laughter. Real laughter. He followed the sound. From the dining room, he saw them. Soa animated, talking with her hands. Lizzie leaning slightly forward, listening fully. The table looked warm. Alive. For a brief moment, he didn't step in. He just watched. And something unfamiliar stirred in him. Possession? Curiosity? Or something far more dangerous? Soa noticed him first. Daddy. Lizzie stood immediately. Good evening, sir. Their eyes met properly for the first time. Up close. His presence was overwhelming. Tall. Composed. Unreadable. But his gaze lingered a fraction longer than necessary. You came, he said simply. I promised. His lips moved slightly. Almost a smile. Good. He looked at the table. Smells different in here. Food should feel like a hug, Lizzie replied before thinking. Their eyes locked again. And for the first time, Junseo realized this woman did not fear him, which made her the most dangerous person in the room. That night, the mansion felt different. Not louder. Not brighter. Just warmer. Kang Junseo noticed it the moment he stepped fully into the dining room. The air carried the scent of freshly cooked food. Real food. Not something prepared by hired chefs who left before sunset. Lizzie stood beside the table, calm but alert. She was not intimidated. She was not trying to impress him either. She simply belonged in the moment. You should try it, Daddy, Soa said, tugging his sleeve. Auntie Lizzie made it. Junseo took his seat slowly. Lizzie placed a bowl in front of him. Their fingers brushed for the briefest second. A spark. Small. Sharp. Unexpected. He ignored it. He lifted the spoon, tasted the food, and paused. It wasn't extravagant. It wasn't overly seasoned. It tasted thoughtful. He looked at Lizzie. You cook often? Yes, she replied calmly. It helps people feel less alone. The statement lingered longer than necessary. Soa watched both of them carefully. See, I told you she understands. Junseo said nothing. But for the first time in a long time, dinner did not feel like a silent obligation. It felt like something real. Later that evening, Lizzie and Soa sat on the living room floor solving math problems. 5 times 6. Lizzie asked. 30. Soa answered confidently. Good. You're improving. Because you teach me differently, the child replied. You explain it like it matters. Junseo stood at the staircase, unseen. Watching. He saw the way Lizzie leaned in when Soa spoke. The way she listened without checking her phone. The way she corrected gently, not harshly, It unsettled him. Because he realized something uncomfortable. His daughter did not need luxury. She needed presence. And someone else was giving it. The front doors opened abruptly. High heels echoed across marble floors. Soa froze. Lizzie looked up. A tall woman in a fitted designer dress entered the mansion, her perfume arriving before her voice. Jun Seo, she said smoothly. She stopped when she noticed Lizzie. Who is she? Jun Seo descended the stairs calmly. My daughter's teacher. The woman's eyes scanned Lizzie quickly. Judging. Measuring. I see. Soa's hand tightened around Lizzie's. Lizzie felt it. She looked down at the child. It's okay, she whispered softly. The woman moved closer to Jun Seo, slipping her arm around his. Soa's expression changed instantly. The warmth disappeared. The small light in her eyes dimmed. Lizzie noticed. That hurt more than anything else. Daddy, Soa said quietly, are you busy tonight? Jun Seo looked down at her. Yes. The word was simple. But final. Soa nodded slowly. I understand. But she didn't. Lizzie could see that. The woman leaned closer to Jun Seo and whispered something in his ear. He gave a faint smile. They walked upstairs together. And just like that, the mansion returned to silence. Soa stood very still. Then she looked up at Lizzie. You see, she said softly. Lizzie didn't know what to say. They never stay, Soa continued. They always leave in the morning. But they never look at me like you do. Lizzie swallowed. That must feel confusing. It feels like I'm invisible. The honesty in her voice was too heavy for someone her age. Lizzie pulled her into a hug. You are not invisible, she said firmly. Anyone who doesn't see you clearly is the one who is blind. Soa hugged her tighter. Then stay, she whispered. Lizzie closed her eyes. She had walked into this house for one weekend. But something about this child was pulling her deeper. And upstairs, in a dark bedroom, Jun Seo stood near the window after the woman fell asleep. He wasn't thinking about the woman in his bed. He was thinking about the woman downstairs. The teacher who did not chase his attention. The woman who made his daughter laugh. The one who said food should feel like a hug. He didn't like how that sentence echoed in his mind. He didn't like how his daughter looked disappointed when he said he was busy. He didn't like how Lizzie looked at him. Not impressed. Not afraid. Just aware. That awareness unsettled him more than threats ever had. The next morning, the woman left before breakfast. Jun Seo walked into the kitchen. Lizzie was already there, cooking. Simple clothes. Hair tied back. Focused. Soa sat at the counter, smiling again. Good morning, sir, Lizzie greeted politely. He stood there for a moment longer than necessary. What are you making? Breakfast. Something light. He nodded. Let's eat together. Lizzie looked slightly surprised. But she agreed. They sat across from each other. Soa watched them like a referee in a silent match. After a few bites, Jun Seo spoke. She told me what you did yesterday. Teaching her. Listening. She's easy to love, Lizzie replied without thinking. The word love slipped out naturally. And it landed between them. Heavy. Unavoidable. Jun Seo leaned back slightly. My daughter asked you something last night, didn't she? Liz's eyes widened. She talks too much, she said softly. She asked you to marry me. It wasn't a question. Lizzie hesitated. She's just a child. She's observant, he corrected. Silence settled between them again. And in that silence, something shifted. Not spoken. Not admitted. But felt. Jun Seo's phone buzzed. Mrs. Kim. He answered. Jun Seo, his mother's voice said sharply, I've arranged another dinner next week. You cannot keep wasting time. His eyes flickered to Lizzie. I'm handling it, he replied. Find a proper woman, Mrs. Kim insisted. Not temporary distractions. His gaze remained on Lizzie, and for the first time, he wondered if the proper woman had already walked into his house without permission. Power had always obeyed Kang Jun Seo. Men feared him. Rivals avoided him. Deals bent in his favor. But emotions? They did not. Over the next few weeks, Lizzie became part of the mansion's rhythm. She didn't try to change anything. She simply existed in it. She helped Soa with homework. She cooked in the evenings. She laughed softly when Soa said something dramatic. And slowly, the house began to breathe again. Jun Seo noticed everything. The way Soa now finished her meals. The way she ran downstairs instead of dragging her feet. The way she spoke about Auntie Lizzie like she was permanent. Permanent. That word unsettled him. One evening, he returned home earlier than usual. He expected silence. Instead, he heard music. Soft Nigerian music playing from the kitchen speaker. Lizzie was teaching Soa how to knead dough. No, gently, she said, guiding the child's hands. You don't fight the dough. You guide it. Soa giggled. Like Daddy? Lizzie paused, then smiled. Maybe. Jun Seo stood at the doorway unnoticed. For a brief second, he imagined walking in. Standing beside them. Belonging there. But instead, his phone buzzed. A message from his assistant. Attached. Photos. Lizzie sitting in a cafe. Across from a man. They were smiling. The image was harmless. But to Jun Seo, it felt like intrusion. His jaw tightened. Who is he? He asked coldly when his assistant answered. Background check pending, sir. Appears ordinary. Ordinary. That word irritated him more than it should have. He ended the call and stepped fully into the kitchen. The music stopped. Lizzie looked up. You're early. Yes. His tone was flat. Soa sensed the shift instantly. I'll go finish my drawing, she said quietly, slipping away. Silence filled the space. Jun Seo walked closer. You were at a cafe yesterday. Liz's hands stilled. Yes. With a man. She turned slowly. Are you asking, or accusing? His gaze hardened. I don't like unknown variables around my daughter. Lizzie crossed her arms. He's not a threat to your daughter. Then who is he? She met his eyes directly. That is not your business. The words were calm, but bold. His eyes darkened. In my house, everything is my business. She took a step closer. I am not one of your contracts, Mr. Kang. That hit harder than she expected. You bring different women into this house every weekend, she continued, voice steady but trembling slightly beneath the surface. You don't get to question who I have coffee with. The truth stung. He didn't respond immediately. Because she was right. You think I don't see it? She asked quietly. The way you walk in with someone new. The way Soa pretends it doesn't hurt. His jaw tightened. You're overstepping. No, she said softly. I care. That word again. Care. It sounded dangerous. Jun Seo looked at her differently now. Not as an employee. Not as a guest. But as a woman. And that realization unsettled him deeply. Do you love him? He asked suddenly. The question shocked even him. Lizzie blinked. Excuse me? The man at the cafe. She stared at him in disbelief. Why does that matter to you? He didn't answer. Because the truth was uncomfortable. It mattered because the idea of her smiling at someone else irritated him. It mattered because the thought of her leaving felt threatening. It mattered because he was already falling. And he didn't like losing control. You don't get to decide my feelings, Lizzie said quietly. His voice lowered. And you don't get to make decisions that affect my daughter without telling me. Your daughter needs stability, Lizzie shot back. Not surveillance. The room felt smaller. Charged. Two strong personalities colliding. He stepped closer. Too close. You are here because I allowed it, he said softly. She held his gaze. I am here because she needed me. That sentence stripped away his authority. For the first time, he felt exposed. Before either of them could say more, Soa appeared at the doorway. Are you fighting? Both adults stepped back instantly. No, Lizzie said quickly. Just talking, Jun Seo added. Soa looked between them. You both look angry. Lizzie forced a smile. Not angry. Just strong opinions. Soa walked toward them slowly. Daddy, she said gently, if you like her, just say it. Silence. Heavy. Jun Seo looked at his daughter. Then at Lizzie. And for the first time, he realized something terrifying. He did like her. More than he intended. More than he could control. But instead of admitting it, he did what powerful men often do when afraid. He retreated behind pride. "I have work," he said abruptly, turning away. Lizzie watched him leave, and something inside her cracked. Because in that moment, she understood. He felt something. But he would never be brave enough to say it. And she refused to beg for love. That night, Jun Seo stood alone in his study. He replayed her words in his mind. "I am not one of your contracts." She wasn't impressed by power. She wasn't afraid of it either. And that frightened him. Because for the first time, there was someone in his house he could not control. And he wasn't sure if he wanted to. The envelope was plain. White. Unremarkable. It sat on Kang Junseo's desk like it didn't understand the damage it carried. He noticed it the moment he entered his study that morning. No seal. No security marking. Just his name written neatly across the front. He opened it without thinking. And the world inside his chest shifted. "Mr. Kang. Thank you for the opportunity to work in your home and care for Soa. I have decided to pursue my dream of opening a children's daycare center. Please tell Soa that I love her deeply. I wish you both peace and happiness. Lizzie." That was it. No anger. No accusation. No goodbye to him. Just dignity. His fingers tightened slightly around the paper. "She left?" he asked quietly. His assistant stood frozen near the door. "Yes, sir. Early this morning." "Where?" She did not disclose her location. For a brief second, the room felt smaller. "She didn't even say goodbye to me," Jun Seo murmured. The assistant hesitated. "Sir, she said goodbye to Miss Soa last night." That stung more than it should have. He stood slowly. "When did she submit this?" "Last week. And no one informed me. We assumed it was temporary." His gaze turned ice cold. "Nothing in my house is assumed." The assistant lowered his head immediately, but Jun Seo wasn't angry at them. He was angry at himself. Because he saw it coming. The cafe argument. The tension. The silence. He thought she would stay. Because people always stayed. Or they were made to. But Lizzie. She walked away. Upstairs, Soa sat on her bed, hugging her pillow tightly. Her room was too quiet. Jun Seo entered carefully. "She left," Soa said before he could speak. He nodded. "She hugged me last night," the child continued. "She said I was brave." Her voice trembled. "Why did you let her go?" He didn't have an answer. "She wasn't ours to keep," he said softly. Soa looked up sharply. "She was yours. You just didn't choose her." The accusation landed hard. He had been shot before. Stabbed once. Threatened countless times. But nothing hurt like that sentence. "She loved you," Soa whispered. "You just never said it back." His throat tightened. "I didn't know how." "You know how to run a whole empire," she shot back. "But you don't know how to say 3 words. Silence. Heavy. Painful." Soa turned away from him. "I don't want to eat," she said quietly. He felt something break inside him. "You need to." "No." Her voice was final. And in that moment, Kang Junseo realized something terrifying. He had lost control of the one thing that mattered. Not his empire. His daughter's trust. For the next 2 days, the mansion felt hollow. No music. No laughter. No smell of food that felt like comfort. Soa barely spoke. She pushed her food away. Junseo found himself standing outside the kitchen more than once, staring at the empty space where Lizzie used to stand. He replayed every moment. Her steady voice. Her courage. The way she challenged him without fear. He had mistaken her strength for defiance. He had mistaken his jealousy for authority. And now she was gone. "Find her," he told his assistant. "We've checked Seoul, sir. No registered daycare under her name yet." He ran a hand through his hair in frustration. "Expand the search." "Yes, sir." Hours passed. Then days. No trace. It felt impossible. He could track rival gangs across borders. But he couldn't find one woman who chose to disappear. That realization humbled him. On the 4th night, Soa entered his study quietly. I know where she might be, she said softly. He looked up immediately. Incheon. Why Incheon? She once told me it was her second favorite city, Soar explained. She said if she ever started something new, she'd want it near the sea. Hope flickered. Small. Fragile. But alive. He stood slowly. You're coming with me. Soar blinked. Why? Because if I go alone, she might not listen. That was the first honest thing he had said in days. Soar studied him carefully. Are you going to apologize? Yes. Are you going to tell her you love her? He hesitated. Then nodded. Yes. The child stepped closer. If you don't, I won't forgive you. He crouched to her level. I deserve that. For the first time since Lizzie left. Soar hugged him. Not fully. Not completely. But enough. And that small forgiveness gave him strength. Late that night, Jun Seo stood alone in his study once more. He picked up his phone. Prepare the car, he ordered calmly. We're going to Incheon. Sir, his assistant asked carefully, what about your meetings? Cancel them. What about? I'm stepping back for now. Silence on the other end. This wasn't business. This was personal. And for the first time, Kang Junseo chose love over power. He looked out the window at the sleeping city. He had built an empire out of fear. But fear had cost him something priceless. Now he would fight differently. Not with weapons. Not with threats. But with honesty. And he hoped. It wasn't too late. The drive to Incheon was quiet. Not tense. Not angry. Just heavy. Soar sat in the backseat beside her father, clutching her small backpack tightly. She had packed it herself. Inside were simple things. A drawing. A hair clip Lizzie once liked. And a folded note that read, "Please don't leave again." Jun Seo stared ahead as the city slowly changed. Seoul's towering buildings faded behind them. The air near Incheon felt different, softer, touched by the sea. He had faced rival bosses without fear. But today, his palms felt slightly damp. What if she doesn't want to see us? Soar asked quietly. He did not lie. Then we respect her decision. Soar looked at him sharply. No. First you fight. Then you respect. A small breath escaped him, almost a laugh. You sound like her. She taught me courage, Soar replied. The words settled between them. It didn't take long. A modest building near the coast. Colorful drawings taped to the windows. Small shoes lined neatly outside the entrance. The sign read, Bright Steps Daycare. Jun Seo stepped out of the car slowly. This was not a mansion. No guards. No marble. No silence. Children's laughter floated through the open window. Soar didn't wait. She ran. The door opened before she could knock. And there she was. Lizzie. Her hair tied back loosely. Wearing a simple cardigan. Holding a toddler on her hip. For a second, she froze. Then the toddler wiggled down and ran off. Soar crashed into her arms. Auntie. Lizzie dropped to her knees instantly. She held Soar tightly. I missed you, she whispered, her voice breaking slightly. I missed you more, Soar replied. I didn't eat properly. Lizzie pulled back and touched her face gently. You look thinner. Soar nodded. Because you weren't there. That sentence nearly shattered Lizzie. Then her eyes lifted. And she saw him. Kang Junseo stood at the entrance. No bodyguards. No sunglasses. No power posture. Just a man. Watching carefully. Hello, Lizzie, he said quietly. Her expression shifted. Not cold. But guarded. What are you doing here? He stepped forward. I came to talk. She stood slowly. This is not Seoul, she said calmly. You can't command anything here. I'm not here to command. The honesty in his tone surprised even her. The children inside began gathering near the door, curious. Lizzie glanced back. Give me a minute, she told one of the assistants. Then she stepped outside. The sea breeze moved gently between them. Soar held Lizzie's hand tightly, refusing to let go. Are you still going to marry my daddy? She asked bluntly. Lizzie's face softened. No. The word came quietly, but firmly. Soar's grip tightened. Junseo felt it too. Not physically, but inside. He stepped closer. Can we speak alone? Lizzie looked at Soa. I'll be right back, she promised. Soa hesitated, then nodded. Lizzie walked toward the small boardwalk facing the ocean. Junseo followed. The sound of waves filled the silence between them. She didn't turn to face him immediately. You hurt me, she said softly. He didn't defend himself. I know. You watched me care for your daughter, she continued. You saw what I felt. And you chose pride. He inhaled slowly. I was afraid. She turned then. You? Afraid? Yes. The word sounded strange coming from him. I know how to control threats. I know how to build power. But I don't know how to stand in front of someone who can reject me. Her expression shifted slightly. I didn't want to lose control, he admitted. So I acted like I didn't care. And that felt like rejection, she said quietly. He nodded. I loved you, he said finally. The words felt heavy. Unpolished. Real. I just wasn't brave enough to say it. Lizzie stared at him. You loved me, she repeated. While bringing other women into your home. Yes. That doesn't sound like love. It was cowardice, he corrected. The wind moved between them again. You don't understand, she continued. Love that is silent feels like abandonment. That truth cut deeply. I stepped away from my world, he said slowly. I've suspended operations. I'm stepping back. Her eyes widened slightly. You would leave everything? I would leave anything that makes you feel unsafe. Silence again. But this time, it felt different. Less sharp. More uncertain. Behind them, Soa watched from the doorway. Hope flickered in her small face. Junseo looked at Lizzie. I am not asking you to return to Seoul, he said quietly. I am asking for a chance. Lizzie's gaze moved toward the sea. She had built something here. Something hers. You don't get forgiveness just because you finally speak, she said. I know. Then why are you still here? He met her eyes fully. Because for once in my life, I am not running. And for the first time, Lizzie saw not the Mafia boss, but the man beneath him. Kang Junseo did not return to Seoul that evening. His driver waited. His phone rang. Meetings were postponed. But he stayed. Not in a hotel. Not in a luxury suite. He rented a small apartment 2 streets away from Liz's daycare. No guards at the door. No assistants hovering nearby. Just quiet. Soa noticed first. You're really staying? She asked that night as they unpacked. Yes. For how long? He looked at her honestly. As long as it takes. The answer surprised even him. The next morning, he walked Soa to the daycare himself. No convoy. No black cars. Just a father holding his daughter's hand. Parents stared. Some recognized him. Most didn't. Lizzie stepped outside when she saw them. She did not smile immediately. But she didn't look away either. You didn't leave, she said calmly. I said I wouldn't. She studied him carefully. He looked different. Less polished. Less guarded. More tired. Why? She asked. Because you said love that is silent feels like abandonment, he replied. I'm done being silent. She didn't respond. Instead, she stepped aside. You can help with the art supplies. He blinked once. Then nodded. And that was how Kang Junseo, once feared across Seoul, found himself sitting cross-legged on a classroom floor, cutting colored paper for children who didn't know his name. One little boy tugged his sleeve. A juicy, you cut crooked. Junseo stared at the uneven edge. I'll fix it. Lizzie watched from across the room. He wasn't performing. He wasn't trying to impress her. He was simply there. And presence was louder than apology. Days passed. He returned each morning. Helped clean. Carried supplies. Fixed a broken shelf without being asked. At night, he returned to his small apartment instead of Liz's. He did not push. He did not demand conversation. He waited. One evening, Lizzie stepped outside after closing hours. The sky over Incheon was painted in soft pink. You could go back, she said. And return to what? He asked calmly. Your empire. He looked toward the ocean. I built it because I thought power meant security. But it only built walls. And you think leaving it solves everything? No, he admitted. But staying here solves something. She folded her arms. You don't look comfortable. I'm not. The honesty caught her off guard. I've never had to win someone without leverage, he continued. I don't know how to do this. Then why try? Because losing you showed me something. She waited. I'm not as powerful as I thought. Silence. The kind that doesn't feel sharp anymore. The kind that feels like understanding. That weekend, Soar insisted they visit the sea together. The three of them walked along the shoreline. Wind tugged at their clothes. Soar ran ahead, laughing, her shoes in her hands. Lizzie watched her carefully. She's happier, Lizzie admitted quietly. She missed you, he said. So did you. He didn't deny it. They sat on a wooden bench facing the water. You hurt me, Lizzie said again, but this time her voice wasn't angry. I know. I won't go back to being an option. You won't. And I won't compete with other women. There won't be others. She looked at him carefully. Is that a promise? Yes. And your mother? She will adjust. Lizzie almost smiled at that. You sound confident. I am. There was no arrogance in his voice now. Just certainty. Soar ran back toward them and squeezed between them on the bench. Are you both done being stubborn? She asked. They exchanged a glance. Maybe they were. That night, after Soar fell asleep at Liz's apartment during a movie, the house grew quiet. Junseo stood near the doorway. I should go, he said. Lizzie nodded. But neither moved. You said you loved me, she said softly. I do. Say it again. He stepped closer. I love you, Lizzie. Not because you care for my daughter. Not because you changed my house. But because you challenge me. Because you see me. And because when you left, it felt like something inside me collapsed. Her eyes glistened. You waited too long, she whispered. I know. Silence stretched between them. Not painful. Not tense. Just full. She stepped closer. Not because he pulled her. But because she chose to. You don't get to disappear again, she warned. I won't. She searched his face one last time. Then she leaned forward. Their kiss wasn't rushed. It wasn't dramatic. It was slow. Careful. Like rebuilding something fragile. When they pulled apart, the air felt lighter. I'm not promising forever yet, she said honestly. I'm not asking for forever tonight. Then what are you asking? A chance. She nodded slowly. You have it. And for the first time. Kang Junseo did not feel powerful. He felt grateful.